First of all, I have so many questions because I think what you do is incredible. Like it's all kinds of things that like I am like into.
Yeah, I do a lot, yes. And some people do find it a bit overwhelming trying to figure out how to describe me or what I do or how I do it. I don't do pigeonhole very well.
Uh-huh.
The best quote ever I read for myself is a busy mind in many places,
Okay.
which was for Gemini, which is what I am.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, it was grade 5 and it was on a bookmark that someone gave me for my birthday. And it was a busy mind in many places. I guess I have a lot of energy and I just love being able to offer people a multitude of ways that they can be well, you know,
okay.
that they can thrive instead of just one thing. I've never been a one thing kind of person because we're so multidimensional as human beings. There's so much to us. There's so many aspects to our whole being, physical, mental, spiritual. There is no one size fits all in my world, in
Hmm.
anything. And so that multidimensionality, I guess, um, allows me to offer people, like it just basically it allows me to meet people where they are. So if they're really interested in nutrition and food, I can meet them there. If they're really
Right.
interested in herbs and natural medicine, I can meet them there. If they
Hmm.
want to know more about the pharmaceutical prescriptions that they're taking, I can meet them there, right? And I can talk that language wherever they happen to be to help them understand themselves in a perhaps a different way than they've ever thought about themselves before.
You are a master healer.
Yes.
So can you tell me what that is exactly?
Yes, was given to me. The moniker was given to me. Moniker, is that the right word? The title was given to me many years ago. I had in a series of three in a row of clients say to me after working with me, "You are a master at this. You need to be calling yourself master healer." And my initial response was, "No, what are you talking about? That seems a little grandiose to me." And, who am I to take that on? But I realized that if this was other people's experiences of me and the work that we did together and the knowledge that I've accumulated over the years and experience, who am I to deny that gift of the acknowledgement of the level and depth of the work that we do? So very reluctantly, I started using that term. And I
Okay.
rarely say it out loud. I don't introduce myself as Master Megan, but it is there in acknowledgement of the kinds of healings that people have experienced when they have said yes to their own healing journey.
Oh, I love this. Like I want to get into that. Like what is a healing journey? Like how do you do that?
That's a great question. That's a great question. In my world, the term healing journey is just something that we banter about because in a community of healers, we have an understanding of what that means. But
Uh-huh.
it's true what you say. A lot of people who are not necessarily in my world
Hmm.
wouldn't know what those two words together mean because we think of a journey, that's a long thing that we do, or like it's an adventure that we have. We're going from A to B and it's everything in between. And then healing, at least in mainstream medicine, isn't something that we talk about very often.
Right.
We don't talk about getting healed, being healed, or healing. We talk about getting better. If we're sick, we fix it. We take a
Hmm.
pill or we take the prescription or whatever it is that the doctor has said we have to do,
Right.
and we slap a big band-aid on it and say, "Great, I'm better.
Hmm.
I feel better." But are you healed? Have you actually healed? What is the underlying cause,
Yes.
emotionally, physically, energetically, of the physical thing that is presenting itself to you? So
Yes.
that's what the healing journey is. And think of healing as a verb. It's an action towards a destination of being in a state of wellness,
Hmm.
whatever that looks like for you, because it's different for every person. I have a client who is in a wheelchair. She had an accident when she was in her early 30s, and she's a paraplegic. And miracles happen. It is possible. in some people's books that she could in fact get up and walk again if certain things were put in place. But for her, her sense of healing and wholeness is that she can continue to get out of her house every day, which she does in her wheelchair, and wheel herself down to one of our local neighborhoods or down to the beach because we live close to the beach, that she
Right.
can continue to interact with her friends and her family, and that her sense of stress and anxiety that is quite high for her can be managed. That's her definition of healing, of feeling healed. And it's a continuous journey, right?
Hmm.
Because life is always throwing things at us, or we're
Right.
calling things in for our own experiences of it.
Yeah.
My idea of wellness is different from hers because I'm not faced with the kinds of limitations that are in her life. So for me, it's being able to get out in the forest and forage for mushrooms this time of the year, or down on the beach in the springtime picking seaweed. It's running around frantically like I do with all my hats
Right.
and being able to help others in whatever way I can throughout the day, whether it's a full-on client session and we're really diving deep into some serious trauma that the person's holding on to, or I'm holding the door open for somebody who's got their arms full of groceries,
Right.
right?
Right. You kind yeah, like you said, you're meeting them where they're at and then providing them the help that they need,
Hmm.
from their perspective or their, their expectations or how they see the world. Right. You
Hmm.
have to adjust to that.
Yes, and that's where we always begin. Like when I work with people, we begin with where they're at and we look at their their understanding and their ideas of who they are in this moment based on the things that they've experienced throughout their lives. But when they've come to me to work with me, it's because they want something to shift. They know that there's something in the way that they're showing up in the world that isn't aligning with who they came here to be and the things that they came here to do. So when I listen to their story, I can I can pick up the places where they're holding themselves back based on the language that they're using to describe their experiences.
Ooh.
And from there, we can start introducing new ideas and new wording to to change and perhaps heal the relationship that they have with themselves and their stories and how they're telling their stories.
Right, right. So you're kind of helping them retell their stories or at least use different words, which then create different emotions they
Hmm.
can actually feel. And then they kind of sense a shift. I mean, am I?
Yes, yeah, that's often how it happens. Or there's clues in the way we speak
Mm-hmm.
that can help us get to the source of whatever the underlying limiting belief might be. So if
Right,
someone is constantly using negative or derogatory language about themselves, that tells me that there's an underlying experience that they've had perhaps way, way back in their history and their story where they were not allowed to be themselves,
right.
right? Where their spark got snuffed out in one
Yeah.
way or another. And I want to get us to that story and unearth it so
Uh-huh.
that we can heal the relationship that my client has with that experience. And it's not that we're changing their experience. What we're changing is their experience of it,
Yes. Yes.
right?
No,
Yeah.
like totally firing on all of that. Like I'm getting it. Because
And
it's true.
ultimately what it comes down to is giving and allowing our experiences to have meaning and purpose in our lives, as opposed to believing that we are a victim to the things that seemingly have happened to us that are beyond our control. And I say seemingly happened to us because I do believe very firmly that we call in, as a spiritual being, as a soul being, we call in every experience we've ever had. And I know that's controversial, and we can talk about that in a second, but we call those experiences in with the people around us so that we can evolve and
Mhm.
grow through our experiences and then our understanding of them. I say that's controversial because when we look at the things that happen to us as children, when we are not yet responsible for our existence and our being and our lives, that's the role of the adults in our lives.
Mhm.
The things that can happen to children, some of which are horrific, are never, ever the child's fault, ever.
Mhm.
That is the responsibility of the adults around them. But as we become adults ourselves, it is then our responsibility to take care of our little self who had those experiences and to bring in a different kind of understanding, perhaps from a spiritual perspective, of the greater why and what are we going to do now with these experiences that we've had, right? And what I've noticed is that a lot of my clients who've had trauma as children, once we unpack that and we work with the inner child and we do a lot of the healing by shifting perspective on that, once a person has an understanding of the value of their experiences, they then step into service to those who equally have had similar experiences, right? So the child who's had sexual trauma becomes a sexual trauma therapist or coach or starts working with people who are living on the streets who are holding trauma. So
Mhm.
their understanding of their own trauma gives them the footwork for being able to be of service to others. And with that, their relationship to those early childhood traumas changes. It doesn't make it okay that that happened to
Right.
them, and the adults in their lives could have made different choices so that that wasn't what their experience was.
Hmm.
But rather than just leaving that experience hanging as something traumatic that happened, we do something with it to give it value so that they can then show up for others and help other people in some way or another with that understanding.
Right. That is some deep subconscious work.
Yes. Yes, it
I would
is.
imagine that's also, a bit emotionally taxing on you as well, like helping, pull out the stories, because a lot of it is buried, right?
Yes, a lot of it is buried. And when it comes to the surface, the body goes through a process of release that can be it can be equally traumatic if not understood in the context of what's happening. I do energy work. I have a whole healing modality that I've created called intuitive energy massage. And part of the purpose of that modality is to go into the places in the body where language doesn't go. We don't always have the words to describe the things that have happened to us, especially if they've happened when we were pre-verbal or when we were in the womb. There is no language. The being who was at that time doesn't have language or comprehension to be able to say this is what happened to me, but
Hmm.
the body does. The body holds it. And I've had people on my table, my massage table, as we access that really deep cellular memory, their body goes rigid or their body starts shaking or their arms start flailing, and there's all this body memory that has to move through the physical form to be released into the energetic form to then be released completely from the aura or the energy field that the person is holding on to. And that is deep and exhausting work, and it can be really scary if somebody doesn't understand that that's what's happening to them.
Uh-huh.
So it's really important when we do that deep work that they are held in a container of safety, and I don't just leave, they don't just leave after that.
Bye, good luck with that.
Yeah. I'm just going to let you go now. Yeah, you should probably get in your car and drive on the highway right now.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that.
No.
That's really interesting because I am always thinking when, with chronic pain or something like that, like,
Mm,
do you see that like as the body holding on to something?
absolutely. And I know that personally from my own personal experiences, and I know it from all the work and research and training that I've done, and I know it from my clients and watching as that pain that they're holding on to at the emotional and energetic levels, even the soul level, when we start doing past life work,
Mm.
is released from the body that they are currently in, they change. Change happens for them. The chronic pain goes away when we understand the source of it.
How do you get to the source of it? I got a chronic pain I want to get rid of.
Well, that's what we would start talking about. We would start looking at the story of this chronic pain and where does it come from and how do you feel with about it and what do you think it's trying to tell you? Where is it in the body?
Does
We
that
would
play
look
a
at
role, like where it is in the body? Like, does that mean it's like, oh, that could be, relationship issues, or that could be financial issues, or that could be, past life or childhood? Like, are there
Yep,
regions in the body that like speak a lot?
absolutely. Absolutely. And the body is infinitely intelligent and
Yeah.
it is always trying to get our attention. So when we look at the map of the chakras, which are the energy centers in our bodies, and they
Hmm.
are also connected to the nerve centers in our bodies, the physical nerve centers in our bodies, our lymphatic system, our central nervous system are all connected to this ancient understanding of the body. And basically, the chakras are a map of
Hmm.
energy in the body. Specific chakras govern specific areas of our human experience. So if you've got pain or discomfort or illness or disease in your reproductive organs, for example, or in your urinary tract, or anything that's down in the lower part of the body, that's our root chakra.
Oh, okay.
Root chakra governs our sense of safety and security from a very early age. It's our foundational energy center.
Okay.
So when pain is there, we look at first of all where. Is it kidneys? Is it the womb? Is it the ovaries? Is it the testes?
What if it's a leg?
A leg we would look at, well, so leg is also foundation. Legs are about grounding, but depending on where in the leg it is it the knees? Is it the upper leg? Is it the hip? Is it the ankles? Is it the foot?
What if it's the IT band? Just saying.
Just if it were, asking for a friend, if it were the
Yes.
IT band, that connects up into the hips.
Yeah.
So the hips are father energy.
Oh,
So then we would look at, is it on the right side or is it on the left side? Because the left side is the female energy side, the right side is the masculine energy side in both men and women.
okay.
So depending on what side it is, we're looking at the hips, that's the father energy. So then if it's on the left side, are we looking at relationship between father-daughter, masculine, feminine, how it's being held? If it's on the left, or if it's on the right side, then we'd be looking at the relationship of the masculine as modeled by the father in your friend's body. And from there, we would start talking about your father and your memories of your father, your experience of your father. What was your
Oh,
father's like?
really?
We would go into all of that. We would pull up those memories that you don't know you have, but your body has been holding them for you.
Oh,
And
interesting.
and we would start to do that work. And we would keep going with that work until we hit an aha moment and the pain releases because we've got to the place. We found it. And once we find it, then we can do the energy work. We can work with the oil, with the essential oils. We can work with other things, natural things that support the energy systems in the body as well as the physical body.
Wow,
We
that
can
is
start releasing the inflammation that's creating the pain with the IT band in the first place. But we have to do it not only at the physical level, but we want to be doing it at that energetic and emotional level as well. Otherwise, the pain will stay. It's
right.
like when you go to the chiropractor, but you don't go to the massage therapist, or you go to the massage therapist, but you don't go to the chiropractor.
I've
The,
been going to
the
an acupuncturist for that actually.
well, okay, so you can do that too. But if you're not also, in my world, if you're not also working at it from the energetic and the
Yeah,
emotional,
yeah, yeah.
then you'll keep going back to the acupuncturist,
Right,
right? You'll keep going back to the massage therapist or the chiropractor. If you do both, then you have success.
right,
And
right.
sometimes it's immediate and sometimes it takes time because sometimes it just takes time.
Yeah, it is interesting because when I do feel it like act up, I always do kind of like I pause and I'm like, okay, what's going on in my world right now? What's going on? Is something triggering me? I never
Hmm.
think to go that far into like relationships and paternal relationships and obviously what kind of relationship I had with my father, and it was a totally fine relationship. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't understand what it could be. But, you know, thinking that you have to dig a little deeper, that's definitely a bit of a different track for me, but I can understand that.
Hmm.
I can like,
And you
yeah.
you could have a great relationship with your father and still have experiences of fatherhood or expectation of fatherhood or modeling of relationship between men and women
Mm,
that at a deeper level or at a very early childhood level you may still be carrying with you. But again, if we can't find it in this lifetime, if it's not showing up for the experiences of this lifetime, that's when we would start looking at, well, what's happened in other lifetimes? Let's do some meditation on that. Let's do some visualization on that. Let's find out what the relationship was between you and your father in a previous lifetime that you may have brought forward. or when
You-
you were a father
This
in a
is like,
previous lifetime.
it's crazy. Like, how do you even, how can you access that? Like, is it really easy to like tap into past lives?
I find it a very easy process, but then again, I've been doing it for a very long time. And
Yeah,
I came to past life therapy with a belief already and the experience of that belief that we do live more than one lifetime. You know,
right,
we cannot learn everything there is to learn about being a human being in one lifetime alone.
right.
Most people,
Yeah,
most people
no, yeah,
can't.
I get
Most souls
that.
can't. And most souls don't want to. We come here to have these amazing experiences that we don't get to have in the soul. When we're incorporeal, non-corporeal, we don't get to have this tactile, emotionally messy experience of being a human.
So you mean
That's
when
one
we're
of the
more like
reasons.
non-physical?
Non-corporeal means non-physical. Yeah, just imagine that you're a spirit or you're a ghost or you're
Right,
an angel or whatever. You don't have a physical body to reside in. This is a very unique experience to have a physical body for an energetic being,
right,
right?
right. Yeah, I've definitely heard like we're the common phrase is what we're spirits having a human
Yeah,
experience.
we're a soul having a human
We're soul
experience.
having a human experience.
Yeah.
Right.
But we
Right.
can take that further in the study of other lifetimes, which is that it's, well, this is a whole other track, but um, it's my belief from my experiences that coming into a physical form, being human, first of all, not for the faint of heart, but secondly, you have to have done an enormous amount of work and preparation already. And not every soul wants to or can, like qualifies, if you want, to have the human experience
Oh.
because it is such an intense experience to have. So I liken it to university for the soul. Not everybody goes to university. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody will benefit from it. So that's great. There's lots of other things that souls can do rather than coming into the physical form. And everything that you have to do to be accepted to university is kind of the same on the soul side of things. There is a track that you choose if this is what you want to do. And then once you're here, there's a whole team around you that's helping facilitate this experience. Just like when you're at university, you know, you've got your study buddies and you've got your mentors and you've got your teachers and you're focusing in on whatever it is that you're there to learn. It's a similar thing. I find that to be an easy analogy to describe something that's a lot more complex than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about this team that's around us. How do you find them? How do you access them? How do you talk to them?
You just talk to them. You just talk to them and you allow yourself to not feel like you're crazy for doing so.
True. No,
Right?
I get that.
What I say to my students is, listen, if the men in white coats come and ask you if you're hearing voices, you say no.
No.
No, not at all. Not whatsoever.
Mind your business.
But once they leave,
Right, right.
and that's the whole intuition, developing our intuition, trusting our intuition, and what do we believe about what is around us? Because we don't stop where our skin ends. You know,
Right.
we're in constant communication with energies around ourselves, and we know this from a scientific standpoint because the
Mhm.
research has been done and is ongoing.
Yeah.
We recognize that we are electromagnetic beings, that we have energy that moves past our skin and interacts with other people. We see it, we have photographs of it, we have
Mhm.
machines that sense it. So we know now that the ancients were right about things like that. Same with the chakra systems. We can overlay what we know about the physical body with what we understand about the spiritual body, and we can see the correlation between these areas, the map that I was talking about earlier. So back to your question about how do we access that? You just start talking you can say it out loud or in your mind. You
Mhm.
know, hey, is there anybody out there? And you get a yes immediately, or maybe you get a no. And if it's a no, it's like, oh, okay, I guess right now I'm on my own. That's okay too. But if you get a
You're like, but
yes,
wait, if you said no, you're here.
well, this is the thing. In my belief, whoever they are, their job is not to take our hands and lead us through life. Their job is to step back and honor what we said we wanted to accomplish in this lifetime. But if we get too far off the path that we wrote for ourselves and we are just really not remembering or
Hmm.
not honoring what we came here to do and be, then there will be these gentle and then sometimes not so gentle pushes back to what our soul said we wanted to have from the human experience. The human being itself is its own entity, it's its own creature. So it's a symbiotic relationship between the knowledge and intelligence of the physical human form that we take and the soul's form. And now we're getting into some really esoteric stuff here, but this is helpful to understand that A, we're not alone. B, we put some things in place before we got here to have certain kinds of experiences, to interact with certain people, and to learn certain things. And if we get off that path, then there'll be 3 or 4 different ways in which the energies around us, the team, will help to get us back. And at certain points in our lives, if we're really not hearing or paying attention to that intuition and that internal voice, there will be a life altering thing that will happen. And many people have had this experience. You know, the rug just gets pulled up right from underneath you. It's a life
Right.
changing event. It could be a diagnosis. It could be a relationship breaking up. It could be winning the lottery or losing everything. You know, it's these experiences that stop us in our tracks, and we really do have to or choose to stop and assess. What am I doing with my life? What
Right.
what needs to be different? And for those people who do take that time to listen and learn from those experiences, they will inevitably tell you that in retrospect, they are so relieved that that thing happened.
Yes.
In retrospect, they understand the why it needed to happen.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like, the universe kind of whispers at you, whispers, whispers, whispers. And if you're not listening, is that kind of like the same idea? Then all of a
Yep.
sudden it's like, whoop, well, you're not listening, but maybe you'll listen now.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call. It's the wake-up call.
It's the wake up
And I
call.
say when the wake-up call comes, that's because the big guns have gotten involved. And
Oh,
the big guns are whoever is the leader of your team. And if you believe in God or a higher source, then it's God or the higher source, it's goddess, it's whomever saying, hey, look, this is what you said you were going to come and do. And you told us if I get too far off my path, I need you guys to shove me back into it. That's what we're doing right now.
wow. So it's like an agreement that you had before you even got here. Like your soul made an agreement before it
It
took.
made a plan. Yeah, it made a plan and it made a commitment to the outcome of that plan. Does it always work? No, because when we get here, we have free will. And that's one of the reasons I believe that as a soul, we choose to come into physical form and have free will, have the ability to make a choice, right? And there's no right or wrong choice. We don't actually make mistakes. We make a decision, we make a choice, we have the experience of that choice, the outcome of that choice, and then we get to decide the value of that outcome. So you can't make a mistake.
Oh, that's encouraging. 'Cause I feel like I've made a lot of detours in my life, a lot of bad decisions, not bad decisions, but changing careers so many times, not knowing what I want to do. It's always like, you always feel like, oh my God, if I could just commit it to one thing, I would be so far along. But then you miss all the experiences and all the opportunities that, you know, make it more
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, exactly. And everything that you do is a decision. Everything that you do is a choice. What you have for breakfast, what you get dressed in, like the clothes you choose, everything is a choice.
Yeah.
And so throughout your day, there are thousands of choices that you make. They can't all be wrong.
Right. God, I hope not.
And I loved the word that you used. You said you've taken detours. You used that first before you said, I decisions that were wrong or bad decisions or whatever. No, detours. I love that. Just call them detours.
Yeah.
That's what they are. You just took a detour, and at the end of the day, you're going to come back to where you were initially headed. Or at the end of the life, you're going to come back to where you were initially headed. And there's my
Yes.
doggy.
It's so funny because your door just started opening by itself. And it was like,
Here comes the team. Come on
let's
in,
go. Yeah,
everybody.
here's your team. That's funny.
And you know what? Most of the time, most of the time we are unaware that there is this team around us. And some people go through their entire life not knowing or not believing or not wanting. And that's totally fine because that may also have been the choice that the soul made, right? I'm going to do this one unaware. Like we are never alone, but we can choose to be unaware of who's around us. And then also much of the time, we're here to live our lives.
Hmm.
Can't constantly be checking in. They don't want us to. That's not the point of being here. It's to make those detours. It's to make those choices. It's to have those experiences.
Right.
And some of those experiences are not great experiences. And the question could be legitimately asked, well, why on earth would I have asked for that? Right? That's where we start to do the deep work.
Yeah.
Why did you go down that dark alley?
Right. So I have a question. Like it just popped up, like trying to connect to, your subconscious. Like I understand the conscious and the subconscious, right? So if you're trying to make a change or something in your life and you're trying to, say it's something with fitness or wellness, or, you're trying to eat better, work out more, whatever it is, and you keep bumping up against that wall.
Hmm.
So even if you tell yourself, like, I'm committed, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be 20 pounds lighter in 6 months, I'm going to eat this and do that, right? You can tell yourself all these things, but on a subconscious level, if you don't believe that you can achieve it, if you're identifying as, somebody who is overweight or has tried everything and just nothing ever works, and they're a victim to, not a victim, but they're just unable, and they
Hmm.
believe that.
Hmm.
Is there a way to tap into like your subconscious, let's say like before you're falling asleep? Like let's say you ask yourself a question before you fall asleep. Is that actually a way to tap into your subconscious or
Yeah, it sure is. But as you're speaking and as you're setting up that scenario of this individual who's tried absolutely everything but just can't seem to get to the where they think they need to be or where they want to be, the first question I would ask them is, do you love yourself?
oh, oh, that's a good one.
And it sounds cliche, but it's actually really, really true. If there's a self-sabotage going on, it's
Yeah.
because there's an unlimited belief. I mean, sorry, there's a limiting belief about their own value. Do
Yeah.
you love yourself? That will stop them in their tracks because, frankly, they don't, and that's why they can't. But if they were to love themselves exactly as they are in that moment, overweight and not achieving their goals, if they can love themselves in that moment, then they can start to shift, and then the weight will fall off without them having to even do anything about it because the weight is there as a protection for them.
Wow. That's that's powerful.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Do you love yourself? Do you trust yourself? Those are the two key questions. And the trusting is equal to the loving. I mean, back in the 60s and 70s, it was all about love, 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 and you can't have it without love. And the world, the universe is all, it's all about love. Yes, that's true, but you also can't love unless you can trust. And part of the experience of coming here as a human being is learning to trust the physicality of our experience.
Wow. So have you helped, like, how do you help people step into that self-love or acknowledge that maybe they don't, and help them to begin to love themselves?
And that's a whole process. That's the healing journey.
Yeah.
Right. And so at a practical level, that's the process is we talk. I listen to the story, not for them to tell it again and again, because they've told that story 100 times already by the time they've got to me, but
Absolutely.
they've never told it with somebody listening for certain things in order to then unpack the story in a way that they've never done before. And there's a lot of permission that is granted when somebody walks into my healing room. I'm pointing over here because that's where my healing room is. When somebody walks into my healing room, they are immediately walking into a space where there is no judgment at all.
Hmm.
And sometimes for the first time in their lives.
Wow.
And they get to tell their story with no judgment. I have no judgment when they tell me their story. And you asked earlier, you said, don't you get exhausted or, you isn't this work is so deep. I no longer get exhausted because I learned and I taught myself the importance of disconnecting from my client's story
Mhm.
once the story's been told and not taking it on as my own. The only reason that a healer or a doctor or a physician or anybody gets exhausted or burnt out is because they are taking on their client's story instead of giving it back to the client at the end of the session, because it's the client's story to do the work on, right? I've heard horrific experiences that people have had. I mean, just mind-numbingly awful. And when I come away from that session, I'm thinking, wow, human beings are, boy, they can be really just wow. But I'm not carrying that story with me. I'm not thinking about it when I'm doing dinner. I might be thinking, okay, what's our next steps? When my client comes back again, what healing are we going to work with? What might be really effective here? I'm trusting my intuition. I might be having that conversation, but that's not an exhausting conversation for me to have. That's me thinking, right, how do I help now? What do we
Yeah.
do next?
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're not, so much of an empath where you're not taking everything on. You're just listening and strategically progressing them through this. So have you
It,
had like people come with a story like that and we're able to help them just learn to love themselves, learn to trust themselves, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my God, this is amazing.
yes.
I just lost 20 pounds."
Yes, I have. I've had clients come back to me and say, it was you told me when we first started that the weight would fall off. It would fall away when I no longer needed it. And I didn't believe you. I didn't see how that was possible just by doing this energetic and emotional and spiritual healing. But here I am 6 months later, and I wasn't exercising her, yes, doing the things that we need to do to keep ourselves healthy and well.
Mhm.
Like they weren't just sitting and eating more potato chips. They were actively participating in their life, but they weren't hyper fixated on, I've got to lose these 20 pounds because otherwise my muffin top is just going to keep going and I'm going to feel bad about myself, because they no longer feel bad about themselves and they understand that their muffin top has served them. It's been there for a reason. It's been there to protect them. They've created it. Their body has created it. Once they recognize that they feel safe again in their lives, and they've taken responsibility as an adult for the way in which they've been carrying the things that have happened to them, then it's effortless. And
Oh,
they may still go to the gym and they may still do the dieting and change the way they eat, but now they're going to have the results that they had wanted before that they didn't realize they were sabotaging because of the limiting belief that they were carrying about their worth and their value.
yes. Oh my God, I totally get that. That makes so much sense. And it just, like you said, it just becomes effortless then at that point because you've just released so much or you're gaining so much because you're learning to love yourself. And like, yeah, I can't agree with you more. The love and the trust are so essential. You have to
Absolutely.
trust yourself.
Right. And so instead of carrying this messaging that I'm fat and I'm worthless because I'm fat, you understand that I've created this barrier, this protective barrier between myself and the outside world because of something that happened to me here, there, or wherever in my story where I felt unsafe being me, or it wasn't safe to be me. I mean, especially around sexual trauma, the child takes on the belief that they are attractive to the abuser. And so many people who've been abused, men and women, will end up with weight issues later on in life so that they are not attractive, so that they don't have to have that gaze upon them, the
Right.
abuser gaze, but they may be completely unaware that that's what they're doing, right? Because they've suppressed the memory or they haven't connected the experience to the way that their physical body is trying to take care of them until such time as they're ready to do the work.
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's just how the brain and the body and how they work and yeah, it's really mind blowing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, yeah, and the diet industry is going to come knocking at my door.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, no, shut this
You
down.
can't say that. You can't say that.
That's so wrong.
Our stockholders are not going to be happy about this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I mean, that's true for anything, any of these big industries. We look at the pharmaceutical industry, we look at the diet industry, we look at the food industry. We look at all of those, we call them the industrial complexes now, right? The pharmaceutical industrial complex does shut people down doctors, physicians, researchers, naturopaths, people like myself. Fortunately, I'm still under their radar, but um, they do very, very evidently shut people down who have a different approach to health and wellness that isn't something that supports the buck at the end of the day,
That's so
right?
frustrating.
I mean, the diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
It is. It's insane. It's insane because it really does, like you said, come down to, safety issues, right?
Yeah.
Like the body just, if you don't feel safe trying something new, you're going to revert back, even though it doesn't feel good. It's just what you know, and that's like your safe spot.
Yeah, and it comes down to self-worth as well. If you
Yes.
are carrying messaging about of low self-esteem, low self-worth, I don't deserve this. It doesn't matter how much positive thinking and how many high vibration words you use. It's not going to work if you don't fundamentally believe that you deserve it.
Yes, that's so true. That's why you could just, until you're blue in the face, repeat affirmations or mantras, but if deep down you're not believing it, there's a disconnect there, and it's
That's
not
right.
getting past and
Yeah.
into your heart, where is like where it is, where it's at.
Exactly.
It's totally
Exactly. And
where
so
it's at.
there's a difference between positive thinking and empowered thinking.
Hmm.
And we've been positive thought to death at this point, especially in the new age or the holistic or the think communities. But empowered thinking, that's the work that I do. And that's not a term that people are familiar with yet. I've only just started using it and I love it
Hmm.
because empowered thinking is about what can I do? What do I need? It's empowering ourselves to make the changes that we want to make because we know we don't feel comfortable in our skin. Something's not in alignment. That's very different from positive affirmations. You know, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and gosh darn it, people love me. And I'm quoting from Saturday Night Live on that one. um, that's not going to work if it's not true for you,
Right, right.
right? The
Yes.
empowered thinking approach is what can I do? What do I need? You know, it's about, how can I change? And then listening to the little voice in your mind that says, well, it would be great if you stopped eating potato chips every day. Let's start there. And you go, oh, okay, I can do that. I can do that. Let's do that. If one day you decide to have potato chips instead of beating yourself up, which the diet industry would like you to do, you just go, right. We're not going to eat potato chips. I remember now. That was really tasty though, but okay, try again tomorrow. It's a very different it's a very different approach. You can feel how different the energy is
Yes.
from
Yes.
the empowered query to from the yeah, the empowered query to right. I'm pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Right.
and the
Yeah.
empowered thinking is, well, how could I feel prettier? What could I do that would make me feel prettier?
Yes, yes.
Even with my muffin top. Well, I could go and find a big sweater that I love and it feels so good and it's a great color on me and it doesn't show my muffin top. And so when I go out, I feel good. That's
Hmm.
what I can start doing. Right. And
Yeah.
so it's all of the nuances. It's
It
all
really
the
is. It's those
layers.
small little changes and tweaks. So how about the aging body of the woman?
Yes, I was wondering when we were going to get there.
How do we deal with the hormonal shifts?
Well, first of all, we stopped talking about menopause as if it was this great, huge, horrible, awful thing.
Yes, I agree.
We start to understand our hormonal system at a deeper level. We start to understand what impacts our hormones. We educate ourselves about what a hormone even is, because most people don't know what a hormone is. We've just heard the word so often in our lives. We just assume it's a thing that's in our body
Right.
that happens. I think if you were to ask 99% of the people on the planet what is a hormone, you'd get a blank stare. It's like, I actually have never asked that question before.
Like
I don't know what a hormone is.
yeah, it's just a thing in the body.
It's a
It's
thing that I'm told happens, right? And I'm told that if I feel bitchy or if I feel out of sorts as a woman, then it's my hormones.
yeah.
And until we start questioning the foundation of that belief in the very first place, we're going to fall into the trap, the expectation trap of what happens to us as we age. And there's a whole lot to unpack for women about aging because of what we've been taught about our value in our society as women, right? Here's my favorite thing to talk about when we talk about the aging women: hysterectomy. Do you know the etymology of the word hysterectomy?
Mm.
It comes from the word hysteria.
Oh,
Women, as they go through their menopausal years, we'll just keep using that word for the moment, they tend to stop being so acquiescent to the patriarchal ideal of what a woman should be. And that happens in a lot of different ways, right? When the male medical model started to take out women's uteruses with the belief that they were no longer necessary because a woman was no longer of a childbearing age, right? It was this piece of, we didn't need it anymore, we'll just cut it out. What they found is that women became more compliant. They were no longer hysterical. And the male medical model called older women who were finally finding their voice and standing up to the men in their lives and saying, no, I'm not going to pick up your dirty socks anymore. You do that. Hysterical. And hysteria is an old Greek word that means, out of sorts, like, bah, right?
ah,
So to men, when their women start going, no, cook your own dinner, I'm going out and protesting for women's rights right now, we were labeled as hysterical. Because our uterus still produces hormones and our ovaries all the way till the day we die, if you take it out completely, then you get there's an impact. And the impact is that women become generally listless. In those days, that would be the term that was used. Today, they would say we are depressed. There are many women who, upon having a hysterectomy, are immediately given a prescription for an antidepressant. We know, well, I don't know. Do we know what antidepressants do? Yes, we do. We know what antidepressants do. Horrible, awful side effects. There's lots of other things you can do to help with depression than that.
oh, oh
So,
my goodness. Okay.
so basically, my belief is now that I no longer, I mean, I could still get pregnant. I'm 56 years old. I could still get pregnant, although I haven't had a menstruation cycle in about 4 years. I never went through any kind of menopause. Men, a pause. Just break the word down for a moment,
Yeah.
right? I love etymology. I love words. Words are really powerful. Um, once, right. So how did I do that? I did that with essential oils. I did that with understanding food. I did that with understanding what are hormone disruptors, what are endocrine disruptors in my environment, and doing my best to remove them. No more plastics. I do not use plastic cooking utensils. Everything is wood or stainless steel. Same with my pots, no more Teflon. These are all things that we know are endocrine disruptors. There are women in other parts of the world who do not go through 5 years of hell that North American women seem to go through
Oh,
when we start our menopause, right? So we look at those cultures. Well, what are they doing differently, right? There's a
yeah.
different value system. There's a different diet. There's a different understanding and appreciation for women in general. They have better relationships with the people around them. They're often living in the blue zones,
Mhm.
which is one of my favorite things to look at. And it's not rocket science to figure out why people in the blue zones are doing so much better than people who are living the general American diet and living in the inner cities and have lost all faith. So,
Yeah, in a nutshell.
in a nutshell, yeah. And the interesting thing about um, this whole time, like as I went through what I guess would be typically considered premenopausal and then menopausal and whatever, um, my body put on weight, but I also recognized where that weight came from. It was from a prescription medication that I had been given
Oh,
for excessive bleeding. The excessive bleeding, and I'm talking, sorry for your audience if you end up using this, steak size blood clots, was because, in my belief, my daughters had their HPV injections, um, and there's a shedding that happens anytime anyone has any kind of injection. And what happens for a lot of girls who get that injection, and that's a whole other story. We don't go there right now. But what happens to them is that they often end up with very, very painful, very debilitating menstrual cycles. Excessive. So I went to my gynecologist. I said, this is what's happening, and this is lasting for weeks and weeks, and I'm really concerned about it. And he immediately says, here, take this drug. and I was on it for about 3 weeks. It didn't make any difference to the bleeding. And I started to get bloated. And even when I went off it, it's that stayed. And
Mm.
I remember thinking, I feel like a teenager again. I feel like I'm uncomfortable in my body. It's not doing the things that I think it should be doing. It doesn't feel right. And I remember thinking, huh, so menopause is kind of like being a teenager, right? Because hormones are shifting and changing.
Yeah.
So acne, you know, weight gain,
Yes.
brain fog, all those things, and that feeling of being uncomfortable in my body. But what I kept telling myself was, yes, and like a teenager, you will grow into your adult body. So you will grow into your body for your 50s, your 60s, and your 70s, and it will be fine. It will be
Hmm.
okay. And I started to do the research around, right, so what can I do to support that? Right. And I now weigh as much as I did at the end of high school, and I've got loads of energy. And I also went through a lot of my own healing journey over the last 5 years and did a lot of my own grief work for the things that were lost over the last 5 years and looked after my children and stepped away from my work as a healer for a couple of years, took myself off social media completely. It was
Mm.
magnificent. I loved not being on social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I trusted and I kept loving myself up to the best of my ability and to the best of my knowledge and the best of my way that I knew how to do so, even when my monkey mind was playing these old tapes around, my attractiveness and this extra weight and what was I going to do about it and that kind of thing. I had those tapes. They were back way in the back
Oh, yeah.
from, early childhood or early adolescence. They were there. So I worked with them.
Don't pick yourself apart. Nothing good ever comes from that.
That's exactly it. And I have always believed that I'm only as old as I think I am. I'm only as old as I tell myself I am. I've always believed that I would age gracefully. And in the last 5 years, I felt like an awkward teenager. And I kept thinking, when am I going to start feeling like I'm aging gracefully? I just feel like I'm tripping over everything right now.
It comes. It comes.
It comes and it does. And now I feel that again. And it's a process. This is the thing. There is no quick fix.
Yeah.
It's a process.
I know. It's a mentality. It's a mindset that we have to, enter upon lovingly. We have to, like you said, we really do have to cultivate that self-love. And I
Yes, we
think that
do.
really helps navigate these tumultuous waters that we're facing in middle age. But
Yeah, and I think we really need to stop making it a bad time. Like,
I agree.
it's not
I
easy. There's such huge influences around us, and there's a lot of big money that wants us to feel bad about ourselves.
Yes, yes. I feel like now it's just like really revving up this
Yeah,
whole menopause and the attention that it's getting, and all of a sudden the media and the pills and the, elixirs and whatever it is that they're coming out with now. Um, but yeah, no, I love everything that you've said, and I am just like, yes, I feel everything. I love all the energy work, and I think what you do is amazing. I have
thank
like a
you.
million other questions, but I want to be cognizant of your time.
Well, I'm happy to do this again. I love these conversations. I love your energy and what
Yes.
you're holding space for. So let's put
Yeah.
something on the calendar and let's keep the conversation
Oh,
going.
100%. I
Good.
appreciate that.